Namaste. Good day, everyone. Today is a good day. I just went up to the church near where I live, and I was planning on praying the. I brought my rosary and I brought my prayer books. I was planning on praying the Stations of the Cross, and also the Pieta prayer book. If anyone's familiar with that, it's by Saint Bernadette. She kind of received that from God and wrote the prayers. And there's 15 prayers, and there's 14 Stations of the Cross. So I thought what I could do is to combine the Stations of the Cross and kind of meditate on the visual in the church, and then read the Station of the Cross, meditate in the visual, and then also do the first prayer of the Pietà with the first station, second with the second. So it's like I do both of these at the same time, and then the last one there was not a station for the last one, so I thought I would just turn and look at the crucifix and say the 15th, the last one. But the doors were locked of the church, so I ended up sitting out in front of the church on the steps with all the traffic going by and all the college students walking by and la la la, and so I decided to sit there and say the prayers there. So how is everyone? How are you? Yeah, I hear you. Love you. Love you so much. So much, so much, so much. I love you. You know I do. Oh, okay. So I want to talk about something today. Fear and love. Yes, fear and love. So a lot of the times when we're in the vibration of fear, we end up kind of getting stuck in it because the fear is convincing. Because if we end up believing something that's based on fear, and we don't really usually notice that it's actually based on fear. A lot of the times we think it's based on reality because we think, well, we get kind of, those things get stuck in there, and then we think that we have to live by those things. So we don't. The thing is we can just decide to move out of fear and just be loving, be love, be what you are. It's not like you have to see, the thing is love, being loving, it might coming out of those beliefs of fear might be a struggle, but if you're actually in love, it's relaxing. Okay, or empowering, right? A lot of get you active and doing things, right? Yeah, sure, love does that too. And that's the thing, is that when there's love there actually isn't anything in between you and what you want to accomplish anymore. That's the thing. When there's fear, we end up kind of getting confused and we get doubtful, and it's like, But when it's love, it's very simple. It's you and that thing that's calling you. What is God calling you to do? Because God is always calling you to do something or to be something. And unfortunately, a lot of the times, our true happiness and joy is within God. He understands us more than we understand ourselves. He understands our heart's desires and longings. And if we follow his guidance and we get out of this illusion of our self-will, because when you have the self-will, you're really painting yourself in a corner when you have that, because it only leads to more pain, really. When you're constantly living through your own self-will, you're always going to run into some kind of suffering. And the reason for that suffering is to get you out of self-will and to show you this isn't what you want, really, you know? I mean, you think that you... Remember, think about this. Think about this. Let's take yesterday, okay? What was the thing yesterday that you wanted, and then you either ended up not getting it, and you felt bad, and there was some maybe suffering about that, or you ended up getting the thing, but then you still ended up suffering about something. Isn't that interesting? How the self-will, either way, doesn't actually satisfy you? That's because the only thing that's really going to satisfy you is being with God and actually realizing that it is possible to be free of fear. It's possible to actually relax. Like, that's actually possible. When you're living with God and you're, allowing yourself to be innocent, when you're allowing yourself to be innocent and to be childlike with God, because that is the only way that we can really come to God, is if we are... you can't force yourself to be humble. You can't force yourself, to, really do anything. But the thing is that your innocence is always wanting for you to just be with God. And not in the way where you're trying to get things, not in the way where you're trying to even necessarily, be saved, even though you will be when you're with God, but it's just like, it's just so simple. I'll tell you this cool story. When I was in Sunday school when I was younger, I think I was about probably like 5 years old, and and I was in Sunday school, and I would sit in class, and I had this teacher there who ended up teaching. She was a music. She would write plays and musicals, and I ended up in some of those later on in my life, a few years after that. And she would teach these Sunday school classes, and she would that I would be in this class, and she would ask these questions to these other kids, and to me as I was in the class, and there would be questions, like normal questions, like what was this thing, and what happened when this happened, and about Jesus and the Bible. It was a Lutheran church. Great music, by the way. Well, there's great music in pretty much any church, honestly. But yeah, they had like drums and guitar and everything. It was like contemporary, so it was a pretty good church to be a kid in, to be growing up in that church. But the funny thing about this story is I would answer each question. I would raise my hand, and I would yell out, "Jesus! Jesus!" Jesus! For every question she asked. Jesus! The answer is Jesus. So, and I think that's still true, It's just, it's like that simple, We overcomplicate it. Like, honestly, if you came to Jesus from that just being that childlike, innocent place that we all know we still have, it doesn't die, it doesn't go anywhere. If we still come to Jesus from that childlike, innocent place, that really is the answer. That really is the answer. It really is, I promise. It really is. It really is. I know. And I know it's I don't know how to, I'm not there yet. I had an argument with God today. I was pacing around thinking that I had something that I needed to say that was complaining and that I didn't have an answer for, and I felt angry and I didn't have anyone to talk to. And so I just started praying to God. I just decided to have a conversation that was completely one-sided, um, just with God. And you know, and I ended up crying, and I did feel that God heard, He heard me, and a lot of the times it's just not always what we want to hear. But the thing is we skip the premise a lot of these times. I should end this video. But we skip the premise a lot of these times, is that you're loved. You're loved no matter what. No matter what. By God, by Jesus, by Mother Mary, all these saints, all these amazing beings. You're loved. You're loved. I love you. I love you. I love you. You're loved. It's so easy. We end up skipping that premise. We end up skipping right over that. But that is the answer right there. We don't realize it. That's what we're looking for. That's why God, maybe that's why God isn't, uh, yeah. You're loved. I'm loved. I am loved. You know? Mm. Yeah. So I love you, fellow people, fellow beings of the universe. I love you. Namaste. Have a good day.